What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. I'm starting a brand new series on my YouTube channel that's going to cover multiple episodes, and it's pretty much going to be titled, If I Was 900, This Is Exactly How I Would Get to 1,000 Rated. For those who don't know me, I'm 1,005 right now. I think one of my first PDGA ratings was at 890 or something. That was back in 2019, and I have been consistently in the thousands, high 990s over the last 2 or 3 years, and I've been able to compete at a pretty high level here in Texas. I've played a couple Pro Tour events, but honestly, I feel like I just enjoy the local scene. I know a lot of y'all aren't trying to get on the Pro Tour, but you just want to be good enough to where you can be competing locally and bring in some cash and even try to get some sponsors. And so my goal with this series is to share everything: how to build a social media following as a disc golfer, what you should be talking about, what you should be sharing, how many events you should be playing, the things you should be focusing on to get to 1,000 rated. I feel like there's so much information out there, but nobody has really set a clear blueprint on everything you should be doing to get to that point. And like I said, this isn't a video or going to be a series on how to be the best at the Pro Tour or on the Pro Tour level. This is just going to be to get to 1,000 and to be able to compete locally and even around the state. You know, if you're 1,000 rated, you can go around pretty much anywhere, B and A tiers, and have a pretty consistent shot of winning the event. And I know a lot of y'all, that's really all y'all want. So that's exactly what this series is. I also want to show that I started off with very bad form as well, and I'll put up a clip of that so y'all can see. And then I'll put up a clip as well of what my form looks like now. It is possible. I'm pretty much all self-taught, just a lot of hard work, a lot of network, a lot of discipline, and a lot of intent. I was very intentional in my practices and what I was doing, and that's something that I see a lot of people not do, especially if you're stuck in the low 900s. Something I see a lot is people aren't intentional. They go out and they play practice rounds with their friends, which is great, but it's hard to focus. It's hard to really dial in what you need to fix when you're out playing with friends. And so that's something that I would highly recommend not cutting out, but stepping away from. You know, the saying of like, if you want to get good, you have to separate yourselves from the other and you have to isolate yourself. I isolated myself a lot when I was practicing. I would only do solo rounds a good amount of the time because, yes, I enjoyed playing with friends, but I realized a lot of times I wasn't getting better because of that. You know, obviously occasionally I would play with people who are better than me, and those are helpful, but some of the most progress I ever made was when I was in a field by myself doing endless field work, endless putting sessions, long sessions throwing into the net. Those are the things that got me better. And so I think one of the biggest things I see is just people aren't intentional with their time and practice. I didn't have a lot of time, and so when I did have time to practice, I just took the L and just didn't play with people. And that's just what I did to get better. Another thing I see too is people don't focus on their weaknesses enough. Something I would do is after an event, I would think about everything that I did poorly, and I would spend that next couple weeks just really hammering those things. So for example, if I had a couple bad forehand up shots, I would go out that next week and I would spend, you know, a couple hours just throwing that same shot over and over and over again. And me personally, I think that's one of the best ways to build consistently, is to throw the same shot over and over and over again. And so I would go out and do field work for 30, 45 minutes and just work on forehand hyzer approaches, you know, with a pig or a zone or whatever. Just sit there and repeat it to where you don't even have to think about it. And I would make sure I would dial that in, and I would do that after every single tournament. The next biggest thing, which is probably pretty obvious to y'all, is you must practice consistently if you want to get to 1,000 rated. At least I had to. I probably practiced 4 to 5 days a week. I was probably throwing the disc every single day, to be honest, but realistically, I think if you have 4 intentional days throughout the week that you're practicing and isolating yourself and honing in your game, I think that's really all it takes. But like I said, it's all about being intentional. One of the biggest things, it's kind of, some people say it's not important, I think it's really important, is I, from a very early start in my disc golf journey, focused on form. And my thought process, literally from the very beginning, before all these disc golf coaches were out, was if I can have the cleanest, most smooth form possible, that's going to help me be able to be consistent. And if I can be consistent, I'm going to be able to jump the ranks a little bit quicker. And so that was a really big focus for me. That's why I did so much field work, was because I was trying to dial in my form, because I knew if my form was really, really good, then there was only going to be, mental things and the small things that were going to be holding me back. So that was one of the biggest things I focused on. If you've seen my form, it is pretty solid. I would say it's definitely pretty smooth. I think I'm one of the smoothest throwers here in Austin. I'm not just saying that. A lot of people have told me that, and I've kind of been known for that, but that's not what got me good, but I think it got me better quicker because I was able to be consistent with my throws. And then at that point, it was just focusing on shot selection, putting, mental stuff, and all the little things. And one of the biggest things that helped me get smooth was throwing into a net. Some people think throwing into a net's not beneficial. From coaching other people and coaching myself, I think it's so easy to, if you don't throw into a net, let's just say you're out in the field and you're trying to break some bad habits. Let's say you're out in your field and you throw a disc, right? Let's say you're not filming yourself either, right? So you're just all based off of feel, and you throw a disc and the disc turns way over. Automatically we think, I did something wrong, that was a bad shot, let me not do that again. But if you're correcting bad habits, oftentimes the bad shots are actually good mechanics. Like you're breaking that habit, but because you're using your old timing with new mechanics, the result isn't going to be what you want, and that's okay. And so that's why I think throwing into a net is really important, because you don't get that. It's hard for you to associate a weird flight path with a bad shot because you can't see the flight path. It's all off of feel. If you're throwing into a net, you better be filming yourself, because that's really the biggest reason why you should have a net, is to film yourself and to not have to go pick up your disc. So throwing into the net was the biggest thing for me. I spent a lot of time throwing into a net and just throwing 10 shots, going back and looking at the videos and dialing in what I needed to change. And I would go super slow and just half speed until I was getting into the positions that I was needing to get into. And then I would slowly speed. And once I started losing those positions, then I would go back and I would restart. And that's exactly what I did. And so throwing into a net is really important, I think. If you don't have one, I really recommend it. Some people are against it, but I think it saves a lot of time and lets you get a lot of reps. Also doesn't get you down, because sometimes you will have the correct form, but because your timing is, like I said, your timing is used to something else you were doing that was wrong, the flight of the disc might be bad, and you're going to think that's a bad shot, but really it's not. So get a net. I can't recommend it enough. And one of the last things I think is a big thing that keeps people stuck in the 900s is mindset. One of the biggest changes and one of the best things that helped me climb from 980 to 1,000 is my mindset and what I'm thinking about on the course. And that's something I'm going to talk about in this series. All these things that I'm listing are things I'm going to be talking about in this series that I'm going to be breaking down, making full episodes on this, so y'all can have you can have a lot of clarity on every single one of these topics that I'm talking about. And mindset is one of the biggest things. I know everybody talks about it, and it's hard to fully understand how important the mindset is. But there's been a couple things that I've focused on over the last couple years that have really helped me get to that next level and to be able to compete and to be able to clutch up in pressure moments, which is something you have to do if you're a 1,000 rated player, because you're going to be you're going to have winning opportunities pretty often, especially if you're playing, around the state and not on the pro tour. And so mindset is a really big thing, because that's the only way to win. That's the only way to win, is by having a strong and good mindset. I think mindset is absolutely huge, especially when you're at this level, because there's only so many things you can correct, and a lot of the stuff that goes wrong is up here. And I think something that I see a lot of sub 950 players focus too much on is winning. And I think you honestly shouldn't even focus about winning every single tournament until you're 990s or above. And so I think anywhere in the low 950s and below, every event that you should play should be played solely just so you can learn something. So you can learn something about your game and you can put pieces together. I wouldn't even focus on winning. Yeah, it's good, it's important to learn how to win, but I jumped up from advanced pretty quick. I don't think I even won an advanced tournament. and I just went straight to MPO, played a couple of advanced tournaments, then jumped to MPO, and I learned how to win in MPO. But my mindset from an early on stage was, I don't even care about, you know, having the mindset of like, I want to win this tournament. Obviously I wanted to, but I also knew that like, if I can just go into every single tournament with the mindset of, this weekend is going to help me learn something, and I can put another piece together. And next week when I play, I can put another piece together. And eventually when you start putting all these pieces together, you're going to start winning. And so I think that's also a mindset change that you have to think about, is like, don't think on the result that you want. Think about the progress that needs to be made, or the actions that you need to do to get to that result. And that's a really big mindset shift that people need to make. And that's just the way I did that, was just using every tournament as practice. You know, it doesn't matter. I don't care if I win an advanced tournament. I want to win money. You know, that's how I was. So it's like, every event that I play is just going to be so I can put another piece together to get to me, to allow me to get to where I can actually be winning some money off of this. And so that was a really big mindset change for me. And I'm going to go into a lot of just tips and tricks and ways to think about certain things or situations, or how to distract yourself, or how to keep yourself present on the course. That's a really big thing. So that's something I'm going to be going into depth on this series as well. That's going to wrap up this video. I'm sure if you follow me already or are subscribed, I'm sure you've seen some of my other form videos. And a lot of this stuff, like I said, has been stuff that I've taught myself. So take it or leave it. I wouldn't consider myself a professional coach, but I will say that I have found some success on the disc golf course, and building a personal brand through disc golf and my social media pages. I've seen the fruits of that when I signed sponsorship deals, and how that's gotten me more than other players who were maybe slightly better than me. And I've built a decent following here in Texas because of, you know, everything that I listed. And so it's like, you don't have to be the absolute best to be able to make money playing disc golf, or to build a fan base, or, you know, to do any of this. I just think you really have to be steady and have a solid foundation. And that's what I'm hoping to be able to help y'all build in this series. So like I said, this is all just from me. This is all something that I've learned. Take it or leave it. Like I said, I'm not a professional coach. I just like to share my experiences, and I'm sure somebody can benefit from that. So that is going to wrap up today's video. I'm hoping to come out with a video at least once a week, maybe even more than that. And all this is going to build off of each other. And some stuff you might not be able to relate to, some stuff you might be really helpful. I'm just going to share everything that I've learned in the last couple years that helped me get to 1,000 rated, and to be able to build a personal brand off of disc golf. Thank y'all so much for watching. Make sure y'all like and subscribe, comment, share this video with someone who may be stuck in the 900s and is wanting to get out to that 1,000 range. This series could help them, and I would love to be able to be a part of that. Thank y'all so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.